Hello there, you beautiful soul, and welcome back to another Culture Talk segment with Rebecca Munoz, your host and founder of Cultured Society. I'm here with another special guest today, and this special guest is coming from Atlanta, Georgia. And Linell Greene and I had the opportunity to meet in 2018 when I took a trip to Atlanta. We actually met through social media first, which one of the reasons why I love social media so much is because it can be used as a powerful tool to connecting with people that you would normally not have the opportunity to connect with. And I just had the opportunity to go to Atlanta for a solo trip that I did. I went to Atlanta first, and then I took a trip out to Charleston. And throughout my days in Atlanta, I had, the opportunity to meet with Linell. And before that, I was really inspired by the movement that he started called Happy with Daddy. So I will put all of his information below this video so you have the opportunity to connect with him, especially if you are a father or even a single mother raising your children, because the message that he is putting out in this world is definitely one that needs to be heard. So with this, I introduce Linell Greene. So Linell is a devoted girl dad to two beautiful daughters. He is a motivational advocate for fatherhood and founder of the brand Happy with Daddy. Happy with Daddy is a platform to celebrate and encourage fathers everywhere to be active in their children's lives. With a mission to encourage fathers to become dads, to celebrate the joys of fatherhood, to motivate men to play a crucial role in the upbringing of their children, and to help dads change the narrative of how fatherhood is viewed in our society today. I am so honored and so grateful that Linell took the time to join us in these conversations because, again, his message is so relevant in the days that we're living in today. So welcome, Linell Greene, to this Culture Talks conversation.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited.
Absolutely. It's so funny because the first time that I met Linell, and I'm going to throw him under the bus for this one, he made, he made fun of me because I was vegan.
Yep.
We ended up going to a restaurant that was not vegan the first time that we ended up meeting, and we had such an amazing conversation. It was like we had known each other for years. And what's great about alignment is when you are aligned with yourself, it's really great that you have the opportunity to align with people that are on that same trajectory. And we ended up having amazing conversation about so many different things. And through the time that, after the fact, I had the opportunity to stay connected with Linell. And again, I just love the movement that he's created. It's created a lot of traction in our society today. So I'm just, again, honored to have him. Um, so as you can tell, if you have been following along with these conversations, I'm literally like they're being thrown out like a machine. And the reason is because I believe that these conversations today are so relevant. And oftentimes within our society, especially in our age group, we're not talking about life philosophies. We're not talking about information that is really relevant. And so it's important that we dissect these conversations, that we have them more often, and that we embrace people for who they are, no matter what their philosophy is, what experience they have had, what backgrounds they come from, whether they're male or female, what age they are, or what they do for a living. I think that, or I believe that we are a part of one body, that even though we are very unique within our own DNA, that we can still come together and respect each other, embrace each other's concepts for living, and have an amazing conversation. So I am asking the same questions to every single person that comes on to this panel. And these conversations have been so unique because, again, every person is having a completely different experience, which makes these conversations so fun and so great to, just be a part of. So with this, Linell, what is your life's philosophy?
So my life philosophy is simple but complicated. So it's simple to say, servicing others, but with that comes a lot. So it's just all about how much can I give people, how much can I service others, how can I help, where can I help. Um, I always feel like somebody needs me. There's something that I can give somebody. There's something I can give everybody, whether it be words, whether it be an ear. And so my philosophy is just to really try to find what that person needs and what can I do. And that goes from friendships to coworkers to the children that I coach, to my daughters, to anyone that I come across. What can I do to help them? What can I do to service them?
Mm, that is so good. And that's actually a really amazing philosophy to live by, because I believe that we have come to this earth to be servers, world servers, and we definitely need more people that live by that philosophy. Has that philosophy, well, how has that philosophy evolved for you throughout the years? And what really brought you to this conclusion of, having the ability to serve others?
So I'm gonna go back to high school, I guess. And like at that age, a lot of times people are saying, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" That's a lot of pressure. Growing up, we always ask kids, "What do you want to be? What do you want to be?" I mean, my daughters are 8 and 6, and people ask them, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" They have no idea. And people would just ask me, and a lot of my friends would have answers. They would have teacher, doctor, all these answers, and I didn't have an answer, and kind of got a little frustrated. And then I got to a point where I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to help people. I
Mm,
can't tell you the exact thing that I'm going to do, but all I know is that whatever I end up doing, it's going to help people. And that's kind of how it started. And when I answered it for the first time, like relief came out, and so I was like, yeah, all right, that's gonna be my answer. Like that's good. So, and I just rolled with it, and so that's how it kind of started. And then everything that I've done from then up till now is helping others. Being a business manager, um, with different companies, again, helping others, starting my own company 3.5 years ago, helping others. And so I'm satisfied with my answer that I gave in high school, even to this day. And so that's how it kind of started. And that's kind of where we are now, is just always looking to help. So here I am.
that's so great. That's so great. And it is a lot of pressure that that our society puts on us to have that response, right? Of what do you want to be? And it's so funny because it's not very common that I ask people what they do for a living, especially like right when I meet them, because I think that it's so important for us to get to know people for who they are, not for what they do for a living. Because oftentimes, well, in our society, we're oftentimes not really doing the thing that we anticipated we would do, or with our calling. And this is why it's so important to have these conversations, because as we continue to ask ourselves that question, or even experiment and experience with things, we kind of end up being more aligned with our calling. And again, it doesn't matter what that looks like, because serving, it's in everything that we do. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And something as simple as the answer that I gave, again at that age, it was uncommon. um and but it's something that I feel more people should. You don't have to answer that question at 14, 15 years old. You don't have to answer that question at 20. And like you said, with society and the way it is, it's, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? What are you going to do? It puts a lot of pressure, but yeah, servicing others.
Servicing others, servicing others. And we can do that in so many different ways. How would you say that your upbringing and circle of influence has impacted the way that you think and live today?
So the upbringing kind of it, so sometimes you see stories or you hear stories and the upbringing aligns with what they end up doing. And then sometimes you see or hear stories where the upbringing doesn't align and something clicked. And so for me, it was didn't align and something clicked. So my upbringing, to be transparent, to be honest with you, I spent a lot of time in isolation in my younger years. So I dealt with my parents getting divorced right when I was right around 9 years old. And I have two sisters. My two sisters went with my mom, and I chose to go with my dad. I was always an athlete, always had a lot of friends. But as far as my home environment, a lot of time in my room, a lot of isolation. And that produced a lot of thoughts and it produced a lot of planning. And so at a very young age, I was planning, I was thinking, I was telling myself, when I get older, this is what I'm going to do. Um, I know what certain situations feel like, and I know what I want and don't want. And so a lot of just when I get older, when I get older, when I get older, this is what I'm going to do. And I stuck to it. I believed in it. I lived it. Um, and so it ties into fatherhood and my gut feeling and my heart was just set on planning, and this is what I'm going to do. And so as a child, it just I had a lot of time to think. I had a
Mhm.
lot of time to think on my own, and it really helped me to where I am today, as far as sticking to a lot of things that I said when I was a little boy and told myself I would do. You know, that's what I'm doing here. So, um, you know, uh, hearing me say servicing others, sometimes you would think that I grew up just around family and friends who just gave. And, my story is a little bit of the opposite. I grew up not around environments that was give.
Mm.
Um, and so I don't know what clicked for me, but something did. And I said, when I get older, this is what I'm going to do.
Isn't that interesting that sometimes, because I know that it's very prominent in our society where we say that because of my upbringing, this is how I am and it's not going to change. But oftentimes when we have the opposite of what we desire, right? It's like that is what the motivation that helps us continue moving forward to actually do what we didn't have growing up. And sometimes that is more impactful because it goes to show people that you can change your narrative at any point. Like, you don't have to be a product of where you came from. You can be a product of your environment by choice, by placing yourself in environments where you can be free to create whatever you desire to create. And it seemed like that was instilled from you in you at a very young age, even though you didn't have that.
Yeah, I definitely had to. I had an opportunity, we all have an opportunity, and it's what do you do with that opportunity? So the opportunity presented itself at a very early age. Going through your parents' divorce at an early age is obviously going to present its set of opportunities and challenges alone. And so, what do you do with that? What do you do with the different dynamics that you're given? And again, I chose to put my foot, down and draw a clear line and say, when I get older, this is what I have to do.
And so I know that you are not originally from Atlanta. You're from upstate New York, right? And
Yes.
so how did that circle of influence change from when you were in New York to you transitioning to Atlanta?
So New York, New York is New York is New York. Um, there's when you talk about going from New York to Georgia, that is totally different cultures. And you were talking about the hustle and bustle, go, 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 kind of, you know, I want to be careful how I say this. It's kind of, you know, not everyone's on edge, but it's a different vibe in New York. And I'll never forget when I first came to Georgia. I just crossed the border and I stopped to get some food, and I walked in, and everybody's like, "Hi, welcome. You know, what would you like?" And I was like, "What is wrong with these people?" I'm like, "Why are they greeting me like this?" You know what I mean? And it's just because in New York it was a different vibe. But you know, one thing I've learned is the openness. Um, and this is one thing too. There is a challenge with living in New York, and there's a challenge with living in Georgia. But
Uh-huh,
you can overcome both. You just have to know how.
uh-huh,
And so servicing in New York or servicing my friends back home in New York, versus servicing um, my friends here in Georgia, my family here in Georgia, I can do it. You just have to know how to do it.
uh-huh. Now, because you grew up pretty isolated and by choice, because I'm sure, because you played sports, like I'm sure you were pretty known in within your community. Um, did you know from a very young age that you had the choice to pick your circle of influence? Because oftentimes we can say that, well, it's just the cards that were handed to us, and it's just the people that I surround myself with, that oftentimes we don't feel like we have a choice in. But do you believe that you've always been pretty selective on who you surround yourself with, since a very young age, even from the transition that you made?
I've always felt like I've had control over my surroundings.
Uh-huh.
Um, I really don't have limitations to my surroundings. Even if you ask a lot of my friends, like I was an athlete, but I also talked to all the non-athletes in school. I'd walk up to them, I'd give them a fist bump. And you know, sometimes my friends would be like, "You know her, you know him," and I'm like, "Yeah, they're in my math class. I talk to them all the time." And they're like, "Okay." They're like, "You talk to everybody." So, and that is true to this day. Um, I've never met a stranger. And oddly enough, my 8-year-old daughter is very similar. So now I'm sitting there and watching this formulate with her, and I'm like, okay, all right, I can see it. But I've always selected in a sense, but my selection is open. Um, and I enjoy it. I love it. I love to have an open selection of people. Um, I'm no better than anyone else, so I welcome I welcome all. Um, you know, at least for a conversation or to help or service, I will always welcome.
Yes, and that is such a beautiful way to live, especially because we live in a society that is very blended. We have so many different types of people, and when you have an open mind and even the ability to connect with just anybody, it makes for a very interesting life where you just have so much color, so much diversity, and even just stories to tell. Because I'm the same way. I mean, I feel like I can go up to just about any. I mean, we didn't know each other before I went to Atlanta, and even when I met you for the very first time in person, it was as though like we've been homies for years. You know what I mean? It was like I knew you for a very long time, and that just it changes the narrative, and I really feel like it opens up the doors for so many opportunities when you're that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, um, you know, you even got to welcome the vegans into the world. So, but yeah, you know, I might joke about it. I might joke about it, but yeah, I just, you know, there's no one that is excluded, um, you know, from my life. And to be honest with you, I wish more people were like that. I wish really, really, really do. And as we all know, and those of you that are listening, it's not like that. It's not like that out there, and we wish it was. Most of us really wish it was a little bit better, but I'm doing my part to do everything I can to help.
Yes. And you know what? I always say that our world is in the vicinity of our energetic space. So you have the opportunity to create heaven on earth if you want to. And that's your each and every person's responsibility, and the way that you perceive the world, right? So we know that our society, there's a lot of things going on that shouldn't be going on. But at the end of the day, your perception, your perspective creates your reality. And so I know that the world that you're creating right now, Linnell, is a world where it is creating heaven on earth. And that's definitely what counts. And I know that you're going to say this already, but I want you kind of to elaborate on it. Do you believe that your line of work infects our society with positivity, and how so?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, um, we'll jump into a little bit of the fatherhood piece. And so, when you are around me, when you are friends with me, when we have a relationship, when we're coworkers, the energy and what I give off when it comes to fatherhood and parenting is contagious.
Hmm.
And so I've heard it, I've gotten feedback from it, I can sense it, I can feel it. Um, you can feel it when you get around me, when you walk into my office at work. Um, I got a dad life mug, I got pictures of my daughter on my computers, I got artwork from my daughters. So you're going to feel it. And I always tell people, when we meet, it within the first 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to mention my daughters, or I'm going to
Hmm.
mention something about fatherhood. I may ask you, are you a parent? And things like that. And we're going to kick off the conversation. So I know that what I believe in and what I'm doing is very contagious to those that are open to receive it. And um, definitely, definitely living out my purpose. And people are seeing that. And as tough as it is sometimes for me to get, uh, and this, as tough as it is for me to get praise and to hear about the things that I'm doing, and for somebody to acknowledge it. Um, I hear it. I may not always receive it the way that they probably think I should, but I hear it, and I appreciate it. And I know that with every compliment, that I definitely, definitely am living out my purpose and that it's helping others.
And that was going to be the next question, if you felt that the work that you do every day is aligned with a higher calling and purpose. And what does that mean to you?
Um, so we are all here to write our story. We are
Mhm.
all here to leave an imprint. Your imprint is going to be different than mine. Um, and once you find out what your imprint looks like, it's so easy to walk and leave your imprint all over this earth.
Yes.
Um, and I really hope for the listeners that you really truly find your purpose, your imprint, because when you do, it's amazing. And this as a father of Jordan and Brooklyn, I don't there's no script, there's no thought, there's no I don't wake up and have to sit there and like write down on a sheet of paper like, okay, let me figure out how I'm gonna be a dad today. It's just it's natural, it clicks, and you just move through it, and you move through it. So um that feeling that you get when you're walking in your purpose and you're doing your purpose is undescribable. And it just comes to you, and you can't help but to just live it out and just feed it to others and show everybody. I mean, when you come on to my Instagram page, or when you have a conversation with me, you will know, you will know exactly where I stand, and you will see exactly what I believe in.
It's so true, people. It's so true. And it's interesting because honestly, Linnell, I really do believe that you're changing the narrative when it comes to especially like single parenting and fatherhood, because and I want you to talk about how this Happy with Daddy was inspired. Because I know that you are on a mission to change the narrative, especially when it comes to Black fathers, and it's really important for the 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 fathers and the young men who are listening that are not fathers yet to understand where you're coming from in this role that you're playing right now.
Yeah, so Happy with Daddy. So I knew like fatherhood was gonna be my jam. I was just like I knew it before. Again, as soon as high school, I was like, I remember telling people, I was like, I can't wait to be a dad. And they're like, dude, we're 16, we're 17 years old. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't know, man. But whenever that time comes, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I always tell people if I had a kid in high school, I would have been ready. I would have been, I was ready for it. So I was ready for the sacrifice and everything. But I, when my daughter was born, I'm very open about how I feel about parenting. I'm very open about my relationship with my daughters. I don't, you want to talk about it, I post it. I let you know what love looks like to me, what love feels like to me, what our relationship is, how I feel, and everything. And so a lot of people were inspired by it, a lot of friends.
Mhm.
And so, a lot of people would reach out to me, message me, ask me for advice. And one day I was just sitting there talking to my sisters, and they were like, "Oh yeah, one of my friends, needs some advice on fatherhood." And then we kind of just got going, and they were like, "Well, you should do something with this. Like, you got to motivate." My friends always talk about my brother and his daughter. My brother, you see how cute they are. They go on milkshake dates, and he posts pictures of her and both. And they were like, you need to do something." And so I brainstormed and I created Happy with Daddy, a platform to just really celebrate and motivate fathers. And that way, it's not just so much you're looking at me, but I'm reaching my arms, wider and pulling in more people to motivate and to inspire to be great fathers. And definitely with the narrative of fatherhood, especially for Black fathers, um, I saw it as an opportunity to really let you see, dads smiling, let you see dads kissing and hugging and loving. And we don't often see that. And
Mhm.
so that was, my mission. And so my little plug here, when you go to Happy with Daddy, on Instagram or Facebook or happywithdaddy.com, you will see that. You're gonna see these pictures that of fathers that you may not normally come across. You're not going to see them all the time on a commercial. You're not going to see them all the time when you open up a magazine. You're not going to see them when you're scrolling through on a website. Um, but if you come there, you there's a sense of, wow, dads love their kids. Dads are emotional. Dads are caring. Dads are soft. Dads are loving. Dads are strong. And so, um, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see.
Oh, it is. I'm just always so inspired and so like overjoyed when I see you just highlighting a lot of these men that you normally wouldn't see, like you said. And I'm fortunate because I definitely know a lot of men that are very loving and very just open with their emotions when it comes to their children. And it is so, it really is inspiring to see, especially men do it, because I mean, we're taught especially from a very young age, that men are not supposed to be emotional, but I think that a man who embraces his emotions, his feminine energy, as well as his masculine energy, it makes for a beautiful relationship, and not just with your children, but also with all those around you, because we should always be extending love to people and be vulnerable and okay with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the messages that I've received, the comments that I receive, are always very, very pleasant and warming. And um, but it also lets me know that I still and we still have a lot of work to do,
Mhm.
because sometimes the shock value of people when I post or when I am open and expressing or saying something, the shock value still lets me know that, there's still work to be done as far as how we view fatherhood. Um so yeah, there's still work to be done, but the messages, the comments, and everything that I get from my followers and my friends and family is very, very warming.
Yes, and it's amazing too when we can really tune into our intuition and the messages that are being shown to us around us, because oftentimes we're shown these messages and we tend to live out of fear, and so, or even self-doubt. Like there's a lot of limitations that we put upon ourselves, and we won't do the work even when it's evident that it needs to be done, because we feel like other people are doing it, or it's not going to be received well. But I'm so glad that you listened to your inner voice, and even just like your family members who were encouraging you to create this platform, because there are not a lot of people doing it. And the fact that it's coming from a male, you know what I mean? Like that is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very very pleased and very happy with what I'm doing, and
How long
we're
how
just going
long
to keep it going.
how long has Happy with Daddy been around? You said 3 years?
3.5 years. So this summer we'll be celebrating 4 years.
Wow. Wow, that's so great. And yeah, no, if you have not had the opportunity to follow Happy with Daddy on Instagram, or even going to the website, definitely take the time to do so, because you will definitely be bombarded with a lot of just happy and joyful fathers, and beautiful images of people that are really embracing fatherhood, that love and just are vulnerable enough to show it on a platform where it's not being shown enough. So it's such a good platform to be a part of. How do you stay relevant, unique, and true to who you are as a person, especially in this time that we're living in today?
So honestly, and this is gonna kind of tap into a little bit of my relationship with my daughters. My daughters, they kind of check me. They kind of keep me on my path. And if you really think about it, if you are comfortable in your skin, if you're okay with who you are as a man, as a father, your children are going to show you a lot of what you need, what they need, and where you may need improvement.
Uh,
And so for me, a lot of times just being so in sync with my purpose and who I am, I can pick up and I can analyze when I may be kind of, going to the side or going this way or that way. And then in the same token, I can also understand when I'm on track and I'm doing, what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm living my purpose. But my daughters, they really do, man. They really do. Because for one, just looking at your children, that should set off fireworks, sparks, all types of noise just by looking at them, and that should give you a huge motivation right there. But again, it's a little bit deeper than that. What are they showing you? What are they not showing you? What are they saying? What are they not saying? Um, and when you're that locked into fatherhood, when you're that locked into service and others, look at those people who are very close to you, and really pay attention to what they're saying and what they are not saying. You and I have had some very, very great conversations. And at that time I had a choice. Do I listen with the intent to change, or do I listen because Rebecca's having a conversation with me? And so really, really um, listening to those that are very close to you and that are right around you. And again, it's not the easiest thing to pick up on, but if you really get in touch with yourself, you will be able to pick up signs that will help keep you aligned, because the people that really truly care about you, you'll feel it. And you'll know when they say this, they actually mean that. When they're not saying anything, they're still keeping you aligned and holding you accountable, because you know how the relationship is.
Mhm, mhm. No, it's so true. And I mean, I don't have any children of my own, but I definitely use my circle of influence as a way to keep me aligned, because I truly believe that everybody that is in your energetic space, whether you like to admit it or not, is a mirror of you. And so, somebody that you are inspired by, that's because that's something within you that you already possess. So, it's really important for us to continue to tune into ourselves um, through isolated moments, through, and there's a difference between being isolated and even embracing solitude. You know what I mean? Because oftentimes we shut off the world and we don't even allow anybody really into our space. And when sometimes we do need it, we do need to have those people around us that are a reflection of us, that can teach us ways that maybe we're not really seeing. And it's so good to be able to be open and honest about where we are and to have these types of conversations, because it often will bring clarity. And I mean, those are your seeds, right? These little girls are your seeds, and having little girls, especially you being a man, it really allows you to be
Exactly.
a lot more vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like being a girl dad, um, for those of you out there, if you are, you already know, like it does something to you. It's undescribable. It hits you different. And overnight you are just this soft, like emotional, like attached, just human being all of a sudden. But it's a beautiful thing. It is a very, very beautiful thing, because I have touched parts of me as a person, as a man, as a brother, as a son. I have touched parts of me that I didn't know were there. I didn't know that I would ever, experience or get to share that. And at the end of the day, you're doing it because, again, it's your seeds. So you're doing it because of that. And that's all you need. That's all you need to know, and you can run with that. You know what I mean? You can literally run. When I say, when it's because of my daughters, that's the answer, period. And you can just run with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I'm sure being a parent, and I have a lot of experience nannying. I had a nanny service for quite a bit. And so, even though I'm not a parent myself, I feel like I have been a parent to a lot of people because of the nature of my job. And with that, oftentimes we tend to extend a lot of ourselves. And I can imagine being a full time father, you tend to give a lot of your energy to the people around you. I mean, you're in a management role, so you're constantly, servicing other people. So it is really important for us to take that time to ourselves, to ground ourselves, to become more balanced. So, what practices do you implement in your life to stay grounded and divinely connected to self and your creator?
So we're gonna go a little spiritual here. And you know, conversations, conversations with God, prayer. And this is one thing I talk to people about often, is you can be walking down the street and have a conversation with God. You don't have to sit in your room with the lights off and kneel down next to your bed and put your hands together and put your head down and talk. Um, you can I cannot tell you how many times I'm just walking, I'm driving, I'm in the grocery store, and I'm talking to him. And I'm talking to him like like I'm talking to one of my friends. I'm
Yes.
talking to him like, it's not formal. It's not, oh, hey, God, da 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 da. It's, man, I'm going through it today. I am having a day. Can you please help
Mm.
me? Please help me out. Like, I don't know what's going on, and then you can talk just like that. And
Yes.
when I started, because growing up, I thought prayer was like this formal setting. I thought you always had to have this formal setting. And once I got away from that and really just started having a conversation, when you start to talk openly and you feel comfortable doing it and you're okay saying, I messed up, I'm hurt, I'm wrong, I'm struggling, and you can openly come out, that does so much for you. You're getting it out of here, and you're getting it out there. And if you believe in God, and you give it out there, there's going to be an answer. There's gonna be an answer. And a lot of times when you just speak out, you kind of answer things for yourself sometimes,
Yes.
versus holding it in. You hold it in and you may not ever get the answer. A lot of times I say it and I'm like, oh, okay, I know the answer because you say it out loud and you're like, yeah, okay, all right, I got it. Like, but yeah, it's funny because I have a little sticky note on my bathroom mirror, and it says, "Talk to God before you talk to anyone else."
Oh, yes.
And so every morning, I mean, I don't have to kneel down in my bed. I don't have to get formal. I get a lot of times it's in the shower. You know what I mean? It can be in the shower. You can be, like I say, you can be walking around the house getting ready for work, and have those conversations. So that's how I stay grounded. That's how I stay connected. And it feels good. It really truly feels good to have a conversation. That's why if you haven't had it or you have not done it, at first you're going to hesitate and you're going to be like, man, this might be silly. Like, what is this guy talking about? Like, you just walk around the house talking. But I'm telling you, once you feel comfortable saying, look, this is where I am, this is how I feel, I'm coming to you, I'm getting it out there, I'm putting it out, answers will come. Not everything will be answered, but answers will come. And ultimately you'll feel better about just getting it out, and being genuine with yourself, because that's where it all starts. You got to be genuine with self.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I truly believe that we are all created in the image of God. Therefore, God resides inside of us. And when we are having these conversations, it's almost as though we're having a conversation with our higher self, right? Our higher consciousness. And there is a difference between meditation and prayer. And sometimes people think that it goes hand in hand, which it does. But meditation is really where you are able to kind of tune all the noise out. And through prayer and meditation, you're able to really allow the voice of God or your intuition to really give you the answer. And it's so important for us to be tuned into ourselves, because there is a lot of noise in our society, especially if you plug into social media platforms or media platforms that are not necessarily telling the whole truth, right? And so when you're divinely connected to self, whatever God may look like to you, whatever it is that you believe in, you have the ability to tune into that. And you will always have the answer when you just openly ask and then just sit back and tune in to the response. It'll always come to you. And it's such a beautiful thing to have that. What words of wisdom would you give to those seeking a deeper understanding of themselves?
Um, so you have to find your purpose. And it's a cliche thing that people say. Um, but you have a purpose. Everyone has a purpose. Sometimes when I'm talking to fathers, when I'm talking to other men, and just anyone in general, sometimes one thing I'll ask them, I say, okay, so you have one day left. You have to make a call, and you have to figure out what you're going to do in your last day. Give me an answer. And usually within that, I might be able to steer them into their purpose. I might be able to steer them into, their focus. And once you truly understand your purpose and your focus, it's a snowball. It's a snowball effect. You talk to me, you know me. My purpose is my daughter's fatherhood, service and others. So after that, everything else just flows. It just flows. Um, if you don't have that purpose, you may get tugged left, you may get tugged right. The wind may blow you north, the wind may blow you south, because you're not grounded in that purpose. So find out what that purpose is, seek to understand it, and roll from there. It'll come, it'll get stronger, the bond will be created. But just start to find out, this is what my purpose is, this is it, and this what does not budge. No, nothing budges from that, and everything else will just start to expand and flow from there. So really find that purpose, and start it. Don't be afraid to start, you know. Don't be afraid to tell people what your purpose is. I think that's another opportunity we have as humans is, we have this purpose, but especially men, we got this purpose, but we don't want to talk about it. Because maybe we're not supposed to talk about it. We're supposed to be strong. Maybe I'm not supposed to, society says I'm not supposed to get emotional when I talk about my daughters. But guess what? I get emotional when I talk about my daughters, and it's a beautiful thing. And
Yes.
it's free. I don't feel locked in. I'm able to walk away from the conversation. I mean, like the day that we met in Atlanta, I walked away from that conversation, and we were open, we were honest, and you walk away like connected, and you feel good. So you got to find that purpose and be bold enough to let people know. If For those that know me, if you ask them what's Linell purpose, every single person that knows me will be able to tell you what Linnell's purpose is. I don't hide it. I don't sugarcoat it. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a
Yes.
beautiful thing for people to know you and say, and all be consistent with understanding what your purpose is. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of it. They have the choice. They have the choice to either be involved with it or not. But that's not your weight to carry. You don't carry that weight. Serve yourself, find your purpose, and those that are meant to be will easily gravitate towards you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And seek to understand that, although it seems so, I mean, it's a very profound way to live, right? Because when you have a deeper understanding of yourself, you have the ability to really connect and understand others, and even how others operate and why they respond the way that they respond or react the way that they react. And it really gives you the opportunity to like just self-assess and respond in a better way, and how how you would want to be treated, you're going to treat people that way. And it doesn't matter what your purpose is, because everybody's purpose looks so different. But I like to say that at the end of the day, when it boils down to it, everybody's purpose has something to do with serving others. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, um, if your purpose doesn't, I don't know, I wouldn't really call it a purpose. I don't know if you could call it a purpose if it's not. But yeah, everybody's purpose is has to be tied into servicing.
Absolutely. And that when we come to that understanding, and we're able to operate that way, we have the ability to live, like I said earlier, in a place called heaven on earth. Because heaven on earth is a place where we are connected, we are divinely connected to self and source, and divinely connected to others. And it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing with their lives or what they look like, what their religious beliefs are, political beliefs are, for life philosophies. At the end of the day, when you're divinely connected to yourself, you have the ability to embrace, accept others. And what can I do for you? What can I do for you that is going to allow you to continue to be more aligned with
Right.
yourself? And yes, we need more of that. We need more alignment. We need more purpose driven people in this world. We would just live in a much better and peaceful place if we were all divinely connected to ourselves and then connected to others. I'm so grateful, Linnell, for this conversation. Do you have any finishing statements that you'd like to add?
Um, I mean, so getting the invite for your podcast, I knew I was like, okay, this is going to be different, and because based on our conversations, based on our friendship, I said this one is going to be. I've done a lot of podcasts um, geared around Happy with Daddy, geared around fatherhood, and I knew that this one was going to dig deep. I knew that this one was going to really require me to speak spiritually and speak, differently than any other podcast that I've ever done. So what you're doing is amazing. Um, I don't know if I haven't seen a lot of podcasts that are different,
Mm.
that are coming from a different angle. So thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I knew I was gonna have to bring my A game spiritually, and that I was gonna have to really dig deep and really, let everybody in. And so what you're doing is awesome. And I've always been a fan of yours
Thank you.
from day one. So that our conversations. You challenge me. You've definitely challenged me in the past, and it's all well received. Even though sometimes I don't think on the surface I've received it well, but um, it's always good to have people like that in your corner, that push you and want the best for you. So for those of you out there listening, just find that purpose. And to be honest with you, you got two people sitting right here that can have a conversation with you guys that will be more than open to helping, to servicing, to lending a hand. So reach out, and we can definitely help. We can talk, we can connect, whatever you guys want. But Rebecca, you're doing an amazing job. This was awesome. This was awesome by far. Uh, you know, a different type of podcast than what I've been on. And keep doing your thing. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Linnell. Oh man, thank you so much for those confirmations because, sometimes, and a lot of people think that this comes easy to me, but this is something that I have had to work really hard at within myself to be able to share, share a platform like this where I could bring on people that I've connected with throughout the years. And, you know, my purpose, although I've always been, a person that knew that I was here to serve, my journey took me through so many different unusual paths. And I just always like to tell people that allow yourself to experience and to experiment with your purpose because we all go through different phases of our lives. And your life is not supposed to look like everybody else's. And we oftentimes fall into this comparison trap. And like I said in the beginning, that we all are a part of one body, meaning we come through the birth canal, right? The same way. We are all coming through living vessels through a woman, right? We have a mind, we have eyes, we have a nose, we have a mouth, we have a heart. The components that we're made up are very similar, but again, we all have a very specific DNA code. So your life is not going to be cookie cutter. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't, it shouldn't unfold the way that your neighbors unfolds, or even your brother or your sister. So I always encourage people to experiment as much as you can. And what purpose looks like for me is not going to look like for you. However, what it will do for you is make you feel good inside, and it will allow your life to flow with ease, right? When you're having these sensations in your stomach, and I used to go through this where I would have so much anxiety that it was like fire in the pit of my stomach when I wasn't aligned with my purpose. And so it's so important for you to tune in to how you feel. And even, which is why I ask about the circle of influence, because we are the sum of the five people that we spend the most time with, and it's a choice. We may not have been able to choose, or we don't think that we chose our parents or our family lineage, right? But we have an opportunity to choose who we surround ourselves every single day, and who we become, because every single day we're evolving, we're changing. Change is happening every second of the day. It was very obvious and evident in 2020, right? And if you're not adaptable, if you're not allowing yourself to change through these changes, you're going to be left behind, and your purpose is not going to be evident for you. So I just encourage you to continue to ask yourself these questions, to self assess, to self correct, and to self master. And this is a daily practice. Continue to connect with yourself, connect with your creator, whoever that might be to you, whatever that might be to you. And I am just continuing to send you so much love and light, and I will see you soon. Peace.